Hello, everyone who joined us here today. Welcome to our webinar on AI powered visual regression testing for free. I'm Imam Mushraf, QA Tech Talks event coordinator and moderator. It's a pleasure to be here today as your host. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to the QA Tech Talks community. We are a community-based startup that's mainly focused on quality assurance, exploratory testing, test automation, and we usually organize a variety of webinars, workshops, and events with speakers globally. A few things to note just before we go ahead. Please have your mics turned off throughout the session to avoid unintentional interruptions. As always, we like the session to be as interactive as possible, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. As your host, I'll either ask them on your behalf, or you may raise your virtual hand if you would like to ask the question yourself. Moving on, today we have Jay with us as a speaker from Imagium, one of the most advanced visual comparison tools from the future, powered by artificial intelligence. There are a multitude of uses and reasons why this tool is beneficial in the aspects of testing, and I'm sure you'll get to learn more about it throughout this session. Without taking more of your time, I'd like to welcome Jay and hand over the mic.
Hey, thank you so much for welcoming us. And I am Jay. Uh, I am a QA evangelist with over 14 years of experience. In today's session, we will be discussing about Imagium. Imagium is a new AI-powered visual tool in the market, and we will discuss how it can help you in your everyday testing. So, without any further ado, let's start. So here is our today's agenda. First of all, we'll be going through the product overview. Then we'll have some discussion around visual testing. And then we will discuss why do we need this new tool. And then some features, how AI helps in our testing, everyday testing. And then some features for Imagium, some use cases, and then we can have a demo. So if that's fine with you, let's start. So Imagium is an on-premise tool which is cloud-based AI-powered visual testing tool. So with its exposed APIs, it can be integrated with any automation tool, just like Selenium, Appium, UFT, Cypress, Playwright, Jenkins, name it, you can integrate it. So you can also integrate it with any programming language, Java, C Sharp, Python. So first of all, since it is an on-premise tool, it makes it more secure behind your firewalls because you can control it, who can access it and who cannot. So that makes it more secure. And also, instead of creating individual SDKs and language bindings, it has APIs. So this gives end users of Imagium more flexibility than any other tool out there because you can integrate it with any programming language of your choice. And even if tomorrow there's a new programming language out there in the market, and if that has the ability to make a call to the REST APIs, then you can integrate it with that. How simple is that? So moving on to the next. So let's talk something about visual testing. So visual testing is a UI process of detecting visual UI changes for any application under test, right? So, so the very relatable childhood game is Spot the Difference, right? I believe most of you have played this game, and this is exactly what we are doing in visual testing. Since the beginning of the very beginning, industry has been keen to automate this process uh, to make sure that applications always looks exactly as intended. And with the advent of online products, the importance of visual testing has always increased. So you see on the right is the same childhood game which we all have loved playing, and now we are going to automate that using AI. So let's move on to the next slide here. So here is what Imagium can help you with. So it can detect, so it did it right now on the image you see a dummy website, so displaying some differences, and Imagium is highlighting all the differences in red. So it can detect overlapping elements, it can detect color changes, change in position, change in size of the text, change in the text, and also the missing elements. So all the tension that you have for the visual testing is now gone if once you have implemented this implemented this tool. So why do we need another visual testing tool? So, so the buzz around visual testing has been there since a while, but not doing it right can be detrimental to your money and time both, right? So majority of the tools out there in the market does comparisons. We do have tools already which do visual testing, right? But most of the tools are doing at a pixel level, right? So with some thresholding, which leads to large number of failures due to invisible pixel displacement and invisible pixel noise. This increases overall projects because even if you have implemented the visual testing tool, you end up going back to the test cases for some false positives, and there are other failures which are there because of no reason, right? So we must ensure a mechanism that filters out all the non-visible changes, and at the same time it does not miss out any visible changes, and this is where Imagium stands out. And also, so uh, it is important to mention that there are also quite a few tools out there in the market, not to name anybody, which offer AI-based comparisons. But these tools are so astronomically licensed that they end up digging a hole in your pocket. So this leads to a need for a free or affordable visual testing tool, which also gives accurate results. And at this point of time, I wouldn't shy away from saying that Imagium has one of the quickest and strongest AI algorithm for visual testing. So without bragging anything about it, I would leave it on to you guys to try it out and see the difference that's there. So let's move on to the next slide. How AI can help in visual testing. We keep saying AI, but where AI actually comes into the picture, right? So these are some of the use cases how AI can help us. First of all, it is giving you high accuracy. It gives you highly accurate results, which is much beyond the capability of a human eye. Human eye cannot go uh, that deeper into details of finding the differences. But even if you can, it will take you a lot of time, which AI can speed up for you, and also reduced coding effort. So on the bottom right section, you can clearly see how it can reduce hundreds or even thousands of lines of code with just one function call. So assuming you are writing uh, to validate a login page, so you will assert so many things there. So first of all, you will be asserting the label of the uh, login page, then label of the password, then you will be validating availability of the all the web element. This will You will end up writing all the 1,000 line of codes of assertions, right? And if you just have to do that using visual testing, you will just write just one line of code on the right, and you're done with your job. That's all you need to do. And there is no false positives. So on the bottom left, you see two comparisons. The first comparison is AI based comparison. The second comparison is a pixel by pixel comparisons. So let's take a look at pixel based comparison on the bottom. So you see the C line. So you see here, you see so many red pixels displacements. So this is an actual real image. We haven't just plotted these pixels. This is a real image showing. Uh, this is a this is just the this is the only actual real change in the image, and you see so many pixel displacements already put into the image, right? So that's where all the pixel based testing tools will fail, right? So this is how AI can actually help you. So AI will detect only the visually perceivable differences instead of all the differences. Okay, so the faster feedbacks, of course, it gives you a faster feedback. Making a validation on one single page takes less than a second. So in 1 second, at least, you could take like multiple pages. You could scan multiple pages here, and So stable automation, regular automation ends up being flaky owing to various DOM and locator changes, right? How visual testing is totally, however, this visual testing is totally impervious to all these changes because we are not restricting our validation to the DOMs and all the locator values. We are doing it visually. If you can take a screenshot of the page, then you're good. So we end up having more stable test cases by end of our testing. ROI, better ROI comes from the obvious fact that the effort spent is minimum and a large amount of time is saved there, right? And also there is less time in you end up spending in the maintenance of your automation suite. Okay, so let's come to some of the various features of Imagium. Although it is very new in the market, the team is working day and night very hard to expand the tool's capability, but still we have a lot of capabilities right now so far. So we have, it is powered by AI. We've already explained that. So API calls to make comparisons. Yes, there are no SDKs, so it makes it very flexible. So you can have side-by-side comparison. You have multiple modes. So just in case you don't want to have AI based comparison, you can also have pixel based comparison. So it covers both there, right? And so there is also capability to exclude the dynamic regions. So there can be various dynamic regions in any application like time, counter, ads, or some floating banners or anything, right, which are dynamic, which keeps on changing. They will make your test case fail. So you could simply exclude those dynamic regions from the UI. And you can also run your testing from command line. We have our AI jar file, which is there on our website, can be easily downloaded. You could download it and run it from command line. So it becomes very easy for you to integrate it with Jenkins and other CI/CD tools. And an automatic baseline creation is again a great use case. So you don't end up spending time in creating a baseline and then testing it against the baseline. So whenever you run the test cases first time, it automatically creates a baseline, and the next time when you run it, all the testing happens uh, in contrast with that baseline. So we also have an intuitive dashboard. It gives you all the numbers that you need, like how many test cases have you run, how many passed and how many failed. And it also generates PDF reports which can be easily shared with the third party teams. Assume you are running this tool and only QA has access to this tool in your organization. So so either you onboard your dev folks on the tool, or you could simply download the PDF reports and hand it over to the dev folks. So you don't need to onboard everybody to the tool. Just download the reports and share it with the team. It's very quick. So the installation process is again the simplest process ever. It takes only 2 minutes if you have the download things already downloaded on your machine. And also it's an on-premise cloud, as earlier mentioned. It makes it more secure behind your firewalls. So you can test any browser, any mobile device, as long as you can take the screenshot of the image. So you could also test standalone images. It doesn't have to be browser or a mobile device. You could also do the standalone images. So integration with all programming languages, integration with all automation tools, and PDF comparison is also an important use case. So you could also compare the standalone PDF files. I believe that is one of the most tedious tasks for any team, PDF comparisons, right? A manual task would take years. So also, just in case there is a new baseline, so if you're running something and it fails, and now you realize that the current execution is the actual one and the previous one is the obsolete. So you could just with one button click override the baseline with the current execution. Also, you have feature to sort all the failures. So assuming you have run hundreds of test cases and you want to sort it, sort only the steps which are failed, you could just one button click, you could sort uh, the failed, maybe 5 out of 100, right? And with the flip image feature, you could actually overlay the current image and the baseline image, which could help you easily visualize the differences in both the baselines. And there is also mechanism to user control, so you could add users, you could give them access. There are multiple accesses available, so you could give the end users read access. The person could uh, only read and only could see and also could run it, but could not make changes like delete the test case. It could not override the baseline, it could not exclude the regions. And you could also give somebody admin access which could do all the things, right? So that's how you could easily do the user control there. So let's come to some of the use cases. So very simple use cases, a GUI validation. On your screen you could clearly see how the differences can easily be detected without having any false positives or any other things. You could see all the things on the right are highlighted in red. That is where the difference is there. So maps and graphs validation, that's again a use case, very specific use case to some of the industries domains. So, the teams may need to set up certain parameters in these maps, like heat maps, and then see how it reacts, how it is displayed on the screen, right? So those teams were having hard time before visual testing, and now they, with the advent of visual testing and AI integrated with that, they could easily just do all the map validation and all the graphs validation that they need to do. So, just as also earlier mentioned, PDF validation, again, it's a very good use case. You could clearly see how a difference is spotted there. So, the good thing about this tool is it does the things visually. So it is not just the text that is validated. Even if there is some change in any of the image inside a PDF, that will also be captured there. So that's an added advantage of using this tool. So yeah, these are some of the a lot of use cases available out there, like game validation. So for gaming companies, they need to validate different screens out there. And then navigation testing is actually becoming a new use case for the testings. I believe it is the newest possible use case. So with the websites becoming more user friendly, navigation to certain screen section upon specific action is becoming an important area to test. Then web crawlers. I believe this was actually introduced by us only. So we have our dummy scripts there on our website. You could just simply download that. So for all the public websites, you could just put up your website name and it will crawl through all the websites links, and using Selenium, it will automatically create the baseline for your test case, and when you run it next time it will automatically clear compare all the testing against the baselines. So you don't have to write a single line of code if you're using web crawlers, Selenium and Imagium for your testing there. Then various other use cases are there. I wouldn't go through all of them, but email template validation is again a good use case for visual testing. Localization is, I believe, is a widely spread use case for visual testing, because there are various organizations which are spread across different territories in on the globe, right? And for every single territory, they have a different things to show and display. They have a different format to do that, and visual verification plays a eminent role there. And responsive browser testing is a very obvious use case there. So this is how Imagium is architecturally designed. So you would need one window machine. It does not have to be a server. Only it should be having a static IP address with an IIS installed on it. It can be a server also, but it does not have to be a server. And you don't need any database server. It has to be only one single machine, which is one single Windows machine. So just deploy it on this, and then anybody could access it. Anybody could run things on it, and anybody with a proper permission could see how many test cases have failed and how many test cases have passed. So this is the simplest architecture how you could deploy it on your on-premise cloud. So, all right. So, I believe that's pretty much it before the demo. So, now we can just simply jump onto the demo. So, I would encourage our host Vinayak to jump in and see if there is a scope to take questions here. Yeah,
Thank you very much, Jay. That was a marvelous presentation, and I loved everything you said there about AI-powered visual regression. And I'm sure attendees have had a wonderful time listening in and learning from this. I can see a few questions in the chat box. Are we going to do that now? Should we do that now?
that's your call. We can have a basic
Okay.
demo, or you want. I can just maybe go with a demo first, and then we can
Yeah, let's do
look at
that.
it.
You can do a demo first, and then we can go ahead with the Q&A.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is how it looks like. Okay, once it is deployed, you could access the tool using the URL and the IP address on of the machine where it is deployed. Okay, so admin is the default password, so don't forget to change it once you deploy it on your system. Okay, so I could easily log in here on the tool. So this is the basic screen, how it looks like. And all the projects, first of all, we recommend you to create your project. Say we can QA Tech Talk. So we have a project called QA Tech Talk. So once you add this project, you will have a key for that project. So this is a unique key. Anybody who has access to this key can store the test results in that particular project. So now going to the home, let's open a project called test, which is already created there. So let's open the first test case which was run here. So when I click on the test demo, so this comes with a blue border. That means it's a new test case. So you could clearly see it's a new test case. And when I so this was run on the basic google.com, right? So the next time I ran it across google.de, so that changed a few fields on the Google homepage because that's a German website, right? So when I click on violations, it will clearly show me all the violations on the page here, and I could flip to see what are the differences there. And so next time I ran it today, and there were more changes in the application. So when I flip it, so I could clearly see what are the changes there. And with the violations button, I could clearly see um, highlighted all the things. So that's about all the violations. So now I want to exclude these regions because I know these are the dynamic regions, right? I could simply first of all click on view to see what all has already been excluded. So I have already now excluded these regions. So whenever I run my test cases next time, they will never be considered for any validation. So to exclude it, it is very simple. So I can just simply select this area, any area, and click on exclude and click on save, and the area is excluded from validation. So consider tomorrow I want to remove this area from exclusion. I'll just simply right click on that region. It takes away uh, that excluded boundary and click on save. So now if I open it back and click on view, that area is gone. So next time when I make a comparison using our API calls, it will automatically be considering this area. So another thing is, so tomorrow, so you realize that this is the real page and the previous page is a stale page that's no longer needed. So you want to override the baseline with this one. So if I can just simply click on this button and it will give me this pop-up box. So are you sure you want to override the baseline? Click on OK. So it has now overridden the baseline. So this is now the new baseline. So if I go to baselines, open up my project, click on test demo, so you will clearly see this is the new baseline now. So that's how you could do those things here. So another important feature is highlighting. Okay, so downloading the PDFs. Here I can click on this button once I open the test case. it could have multiple steps inside it. Right now it has only one. So that's how a PDF file looks like. It gives you the test name, number of test cases passed, number of steps failed, and where it failed. So you could clearly share these screens with your end users who don't have access to this tool, and they could simply get the things fixed for you, right? And moving on to the user tab, you could simply add a new user. Say this is a new user here. I have a user add. So a new user can be added here. You could add it here. Then you could assign roles to the new user. For which project you want to assign admin role to this user. So now this user is an admin, so it could do everything for that particular project. And also you could go to the dashboard and you could see the status. So this has 8 failures and 5 pass test cases. Now you could realize what's wrong in your project, right? And that's about it. So and now all the other details are available on Imagium's website. You could open up the knowledge base Imagium, and the setting up is very easy. Just download it from here and open up IAS. Just add a website. Just give a physical path to the downloaded file, and then set up a port, and that's all you have to do for downloading. And that's pretty much it. And if you want to know about the APIs, go to resources, documentation, and there is an API section. You will find out all the APIs and how you could um, set up the payloads. And if you need some samples, that's also there. Oh, I think something wrong right now, but go to the website and I think most of the things will be answered there. Yeah. So this is a sample test case. You can just simply copy paste and try your test case testing using anything. So that's pretty much it. So over to you, the host. Open for questions.
All right, thank you. Um, so like I said, it was a marvelous presentation, and I can see like a few questions in the chat box if you'd like to go over them one by one.
Go ahead.
So there's a question about whether Imagium is an open source tool.
Okay, so Imagium is not an open source tool, but it is free tool. So actually, it is free for all the startups. So we are now giving you like 1,000. Initially, we started with 100. Then we kept getting requests to increase it. Then we went to 500. We recently got more requests. Please increase the number of validations that we can do. So now we have given 1,000 free validations per month for every installation. So the main goal of Imagium is to help the community. So that's why we kept on increasing the free validations that an end user can do.
Great. So that actually
Yeah.
gets me to the second question I think some of the attendees had. It was regarding the pricing plans. I know you've mentioned that it was free for some time, but can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, okay, so there are some pricing plans out there. Uh, Let me see if I can open up. I saw something going wrong there. I see something going wrong, I think, in the server. But the pricing, it is free and it will always be free for the startups. But if you need more extended features, which are there given in the chart, then there is a pricing for that. Uh,
Great. That's good
yeah.
news for everyone.
Yes, it will remain free. The free version will always remain free, and that is why it was also created. But also, it is important to understand that development needs time and effort, and it
Hmm.
needs all those things to support all those activities. We have kept some portion
Great.
as prized portion because we want to support the tool also. So that's why it comes into the picture. But the primary goal is to keep it free.
Great. Yep. So there is a question by Prasad. He's asking if Okay, so he says that he can see that AI is integrated in the tool. He
Yes.
wants to know if there is a need for any prerequisites to be done as a tester. He also wants to know if there's any limit to onboard users.
Hey, yes. Hey, that's a very good question. First of all, it comes with all the things pre-configured, so you don't need to have have to train any model on your side. Everything has been pre-configured. The algorithm is pre-configured, and all you do is just install it on your machine, and it works for you.
Right.
Okay, the second
Um,
question was
yeah.
how many users you could onboard right now. Okay, so first of all, for the free version, there is only one user, one project. Okay, but still, if you need more, just drop an email to us. We'll give it to you. Okay, but yes, there are more user plans for the different users, which are there on the website, so team can connect us.
Right. So I can see a few questions that are asking about what can the tool be integrated with? Can you just like answer that once and for all? Because I think they repeated that with Cypress. I can see some other sites as well. Can you just
Okay,
let
so
us know?
this
Yeah.
tool, as earlier mentioned, um, does not have any SDKs. So it has APIs. So if you have a tool that can send any that can take a screenshot, and if you are using any programming language which can make an API call, then you are good. So be it Selenium, be it UFT, be it Appium, be it whatever tool it is there in the market, you can integrate it.
Mm, great. Okay. So there's another question by Ashok. He's asking if the tool has a cross-browser or cross-platform visual testing, and can he do accessibility testing using the tool?
That's a good question, Ashok. So the cross-browser capabilities lies within your testing tool. So consider if you're using Selenium, so then if you are able to do cross-browser using Selenium, then you can also use Imagium to do visual testing for that. But accessibility, it does not have it right now integrated. For accessibility, we recommend using available code scan tools like, I don't want to name anybody, but there are available free open source code scan tool which you could integrate with your any existing automation suite.
Okay, there's another question, and it's about can we use a single test to verify a screen across devices with different resolutions?
You want to have a single test case. Um, okay, so here I believe I must clarify how it works here to answer that question. First of all, this name, every test case that you run is first matched against this name. Okay, and then every step inside that test case is matched against this name. This is a step name, this is a test name. Okay, that's what makes it unique. So if you want to run it on a mobile device, you can create a mobile device test case here. Also, although that test case can be single, but here on the portal you will see different uh, executions. For you a browser, you will see one test run, and for mobile device you will see another test run. It can be one single script for you, but on the portal it will show up as a multiple test cases.
All right. I guess just two more questions. Let me just, yeah, okay. So Sneha actually wants you to show how to configure the pages, if that's possible to do right now.
Configure the pages, or what does that mean?
I'm not sure. Can we have Sneha maybe turn her mic on to clarify what her question is? Maybe let me try.
We are thought of space downstairs, but it doesn't know. I think we can move it in some CCTV or something.
Yeah,
No?
exactly. Even I feel the same.
Yeah.
Cafe or maybe
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. Fine. But is there some way you could put up something on the chat here?
Yeah, yeah, probably. Let's do that. Sneha, if you could just clarify your question so we can answer
Okay.
that.
In the meanwhile, we could take up
Um,
the next
yeah,
question.
Yes, definitely. So then the other question that we have is how to get the base UI or wireframe of a project.
Mm, the wireframe cannot be compared with that actually.
But
I
I
don't.
don't. But he wait now. If he got.
Sorry for the interruption. Please proceed.
Jay, I think you were saying something. Oh, Vinayak, I think he can't unmute himself. Okay,
Thank you so much. Actually, I was speaking on mute. Okay,
Sorry,
it's
Jay,
all
for
right.
that.
that's okay. Okay. So yes, so I believe the question is, can we compare the wireframes of any project with the real application? But the answer is no, because there are various differences in the wireframe. The resolution is one differences, and the layout is another differences. And I don't think there is any tool which does that at this moment, comparing wireframe against the actual application. So over to the next question. So let's see if Sneha is there.
Yeah, I think she just clarified her question in the
Yeah,
chat
her
box.
question is how to
Okay, so she's
configure the
asking
Google
how to
page.
configure the Google page, which you showed in the demo, and
Okay,
how the
so you,
tester will configure the page in the test case.
yeah, actually, we have samples on our website. So right now I couldn't access that because of some reason. So there is no configuration needed other than selecting excluded regions. For excluded region, you could just simply come here. So you would need to run it once and come here and select whatever region you want to exclude. And that's the only configuration you would need to do, and then save it, and that's the only configurations. To run the test case, just grab a sample from our website. It is there in our knowledge base, and whichever language, whichever tool you are using, just take a sample, and there is a sample API format there. Just make an API call using that format, and then you're all good. There is nothing in terms of configuration needed for an end user.
Right. Okay. So I think that's it for the questions. Oh, right. There's just one more. Oh, two more. All right. So why should we go with Imagium instead of browser stack tool other than, yeah. So
I
why
don't
should
want
we?
to downplay anybody, because that's not the
Mm-hmm.
style. I think we should be doing that. First of all, if you want to go with browser stack, go with that. But thing is, um, that is pixel by pixel comparison. I believe you're talking about Percy right now, and that is pixel by pixel comparison. So if you want to go pixel by pixel comparison on over AI, that's your choice. But that will end up you giving so many false positives in so many situations. Then it's better to do the things manually.
Right. So I can see another question. If we are executing test cases on different devices like mobile UIs, then is there any difference in screen resolution?
Yes, there will be difference in screen resolution. So you have to run it as a separate test case. So inside your same test case, you could just simply, whenever you make an API call, just change the difference. So if you're running it on a Samsung device, so just append uh, underscore Samsung in the name, and then it becomes an all new different test case focusing only for Samsung. Okay. And if it is for iPhone 12, just put a name there underscore iPhone 12, then it will make an all new different test case. For you it will be one test case running, but here on the portal you will see multiple different test cases, because when you compare, you cannot compare Samsung against Apple, right? So if you do that, it will obviously fail, right? Because the screen resolution and all those things will fail. So it
Right.
has to be a separate case on the portal. Although for you, running the test
Okay.
case,
So,
maintaining the test case
I
is just one.
go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm done here. I'm good.
Okay. So I guess that's all of the questions. I think we've gone through all of them. But if anybody else has a question, please feel free to put them in the chat box before we carry on. Let's give it a minute.
Thank you, Jay, for the wonderful session about Imagium and how it works, and you have given the demo as well. So the thing is, like, few questions from my side. Actually, I'm a Cypress user, Cypress test automation user. So
Yes.
can we integrate with functional testing at the same time, visual testing using Imagium?
Yes, actually, the thing about testing is all you need is, so consider you are running on a one single application, and that application is having 10 unique pages. So say it has 20 unique pages, okay? All you need to create one particular test case that covers all those pages, okay? And once you do there, for every single page, just make a screenshot and send it to Imagium. Go to next page, make a screenshot, send it to Imagium. For all the pages, send all the images to the Imagium, and that's all for you. That's all you need to do there. And
Okay,
if
Jay.
you
Mhm.
and if you are thinking about integrating your functional test cases, so I believe there is a visual component definitely in your functional test cases, which you could cater to, like how the text is appearing and where it is appearing, right? All those things can be done using Imagium.
Sounds good. Thank you. And the thing is, like, okay, we need to maintain a separate frameworks, or we can integrate with the single framework, right? With the after the functional test, so we can integrate the visual test, for example, PDF checking,
Yes.
graphical checking.
So this is just one function call. So our recommendation is just copy that functional call which is available, the function code which is available on our website for whichever tool you're using. Just embed it on your existing framework. Just make that function call from whichever framework you're using. It is independent of the framework.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'll give it a try because you are providing thousand minutes, right?
It
Thousand
is
screenshots,
1,000 checkpoints. So yeah, so let
checkpoints.
me know
Okay,
if you
okay.
need more. Let me know if you need more, because that is just a restriction based on our usual knowledge. If you need more, we can definitely increase it for you.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And we have few more questions. Omaima, please carry on.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a question again. So they're asking if you could explain one more time how it differs from Percy.
So when you go to Percy's website, it tells you how Percy identifies the differences. Mm, okay, so I believe if you have already gone through this session today, so the next thing you should be doing is go to their particular website and see how it identifies the differences, which is primarily a pixel by pixel comparison, right? But this is based on computer vision, so which is totally different way of identifying the differences. This, and we have implemented AI inside it, which helps you prevent those false positives, right? And also it never let go of any of the actual thing which is there. It never misses out anything, even a minutest of the thing. So that's how it is different.
Right. So there's one more question, and it's about whether the tool supports data security.
I'm not sure what does that mean, data
Uh,
security, because
right. So
this is
I
primarily a visual testing tool. It has nothing to do with the data security. But I believe, do you mean the images that are stored on?
yes.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's
So the very first thing of this tool is this is on-premise cloud, so it remains with you. So everything which is deployed on your system, it never comes to us, so nothing comes to us, so everything remains on your system.
right. So I think that's all of the questions that we had till now. All right, so I think we can close off the session on a good note. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you everyone for joining.